to Off the Record, talking real estate with Joe and Makayla. If you're interested in the Portland, Oregon real estate market and want the unvarnished inside scoop, you've come to the right place. Thanks for giving us a listen. Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. Good afternoon, Makayla.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
It's a Friday. I had a wonderful lunch at Puppy Chulo's.
Never a disappointment.
No, not at all. The Pearl does not disappoint for good food. So coming from the Cascade Hassan Sotheby's studios here down in the Pearl District, it's a wonderful, beautiful, sunny day here on this Friday.
It really is.
Couldn't be happier to be here with you.
Oh,
Makayla.
likewise.
Yeah.
Nice little Friday afternoon leading into the Easter weekend.
I know. It's going to be a good weekend, I think. So, but we've got a fantastic show for everyone, and I am excited for you to lay out what we've got here. We're talking today about buying a home with under $25,000 cash. How in the heck are you going to do that, Makayla?
Oh, we're going to do it.
Wow.
And there's options.
There are options. Why don't you lay it out for us? What are we looking at here?
Well, buying a home in today's market feels very out of reach, and we understand that. The media is telling you lots of scary things, but we did some research and we believe that it is possible to buy with $25,000 or less. We're going to break down the real numbers from a live mortgage calculator, walk you through some creative strategies like using seller credits to buy down your interest rate, and also showing you how many homes are actually available right now for under $500,000, which is more than we thought.
And not only is it possible, but our clients are actually making it happen. And I agree with you. There's so much kind of angst, and especially like I have two sons in their early 20s right now. And the feeling they want to be homeowners. You know, they've watched their mom and dad for 30 years be real estate professionals. And just talking to them and their friends, you can feel that they feel it's not attainable. So it's an interesting time. But I think this, hopefully, people watching it out there will get some hope from this if you're in that situation and get a few pointers as to how to make that happen.
I think something that's worth mentioning is that we don't gain anything from giving bad advice or fudging numbers or making this up.
No,
we are working in this profession day in and day out. We love it, and we are going to be honest with you, because what else is the point?
Yeah, it doesn't do anyone any good to get bad information and then find out that they can't make it happen. That being said, you need to come to the table with certain things to make this happen. And that includes some money and also a credit score that's going to work for the lender. But that's the beautiful thing about talking to your financial professional or your real estate professional up front is getting that plan in place. Just because maybe those things aren't there now doesn't mean that you can't have a strategy for having them in place in a very short period of time.
Should we talk numbers?
Let's talk some numbers.
Okay. I wanted to just dive right into it. So we are considering, I kind of worked backwards on this mortgage calculator, which is not what we usually do, but I wanted to consider the fact that we're working with $25,000 or less. And the thing to remember here is that this amount, $25,000, is going to include your down payment and also your lender associated closing costs, because that's something that people don't always consider. So that means that your down payment will be around $17,500, and that's 3.5%, which is FHA minimum for a purchase price of $500,000. So in this scenario, we're considering a purchase price of $500,000 or less. Of course, if you find something less than $500,000, then these numbers will look a little different, and vice versa. Then we consider the closing costs to be around $7,500, which I believe could be less. We didn't want to give you, we wanted to give you an approximate amount because that's not our profession. It's not what we do. We don't want to make promises that we can't keep. But
all of these are general numbers. Some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower, but this is a good working set of numbers that you can feel good about moving forward, right?
Definitely. And then considering the interest rate, which is a hot topic right now, I plugged in 6%. And I do believe it is possible to get there with today's current interest rates being around 6.75, a little bit higher on some days. But what we are going to do in this scenario is ask for seller credit in your offer, and we're going to use that seller credit to buy down the interest rate to 6%. which is feasible and very possible and happening all of the time. We also included private mortgage insurance, which is 0.5 point in this scenario. Property taxes as well, around $3,100, which is a little low. That was what this calculator
really
generated?
Depends on what part of town you're looking at. Is it Multnomah County? Multnomah County does have the highest property taxes in the Tri-County area. Clackamas, Washington County, much lower. And then if you go out to other places, so this is an approximation, but could be higher, could be lower.
Right. So if if you are finding homes that you're in love with in the area that you love and the property taxes are a little bit higher, maybe we consider a purchase price of $475 to offset that cost. And then we account for insurance, which is necessary for $1,500 a year. And we did a loan term of 30 years. You want to reveal what their monthly payment will be with this scenario?
$34.79.
Okay.
Which obviously the more money you put down, the lower that amount becomes. So this is getting in for under $25,000 and getting that payment out of that. For a lot of people, they're going to be like, whoa, $3,500. That is a lot. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. That being said, if that's all you have, if you have a good job and good credit score, good or better credit score, and not a lot of debt, revolving debt especially, this is going to be a number that, maybe something you can work with. And a reminder is if you're planning ahead and have a strategy, maybe this is the 6-month plan. And if you decide, well, we're going to move that to a 12-month, maybe you go 5% down, 10% down. This number will go down the more you put down as your down payment. The other thing right now is interest rates are, and this is not a bad thing, people, this is a good thing, extremely volatile. I mean, they are up and down significantly. Some of you may not be watching the news or anything, but our foreign policy and some of the things that we're doing are creating a very uncertain atmosphere in the economy. Mm-hmm. And that causes our mortgage rates and the bond market and those type of things to fluctuate drastically, which for a mortgage professional is extremely difficult.
I know, those poor guys.
Right, and gals. But for you as a consumer, it allows you to really lock in on one of those low dips before it spikes back up again. So a lot of opportunity out there right now. So let's talk about the power of seller credits, because early on, you were throwing out some things about buy downs and seller credit and all that. And I think there's probably a lot of our listeners who are not familiar with some of those terms. And so I think it's worth it for us to discuss exactly what that means.
Right. So seller credits are a beautiful thing.
Love them.
Let's say the home is listed at $500,000. What we do is in your offer, so say we offer $500,000, in your offer, we write in seller credits. So whatever that amount is that we're asking for, we'll write that in the offer. And then at closing, the seller will pay you back that money or pay your lender back that money so that you can use that amount to close the loan, or close the loan, meaning your closing costs, or buy down the interest rate. That's it. But
yeah, so a good way of looking at it is if, let's say the home is a $500,000 home, you make an offer at $500,000, but you're going to ask for $15,000 off that. The real net offer to the seller is $45,000 because that's all they're going to. That's
what they care about.
Yeah, that's what they care about. But at $500,000, you're still giving them that amount, and they're paying you that back, that $15,000 at closing, for you to be able to use towards closing cost or, buying down the rate, that type of thing.
Right. And we are seeing this very commonly in this market. Homes are hanging out on the market a little bit longer. Some are, some aren't. But the ones that are, more often than not, sellers are willing to pay some kind of credit in order to get their home sold. And they're getting the price that they want, which is exciting to them just because public record shows that, it sold for $500,000. And I think sometimes that's nice for people too, instead of having a price cut. Price cuts can be hard on sellers. So, but with properties that are a little more competitive, if there's multiple offers, our strategy would be to maybe offer a little bit over $500,000 and then still ask for that credit. That way you can make sure things pencil out. And the difference in your monthly payment between $500,000 and $515,000 is likely $20 or less.
Probably, yeah.
We run all those numbers for you, a lot of different scenarios before we make your offer to make sure it pencils out and to make sure you're competitive.
And your financial professional, your mortgage broker will be able to give you a number of different scenarios beforehand to see exactly how that plays out as far as the actual monthly payment.
I think in this scenario too, if maybe there's an opportunity where you can ask for money for a rate buy down and all of your closing costs.
Yeah.
Meaning that you could spend that whole $25,000 on your down payment. Hopefully that's not too much information, but it's a lot of numbers.
The other thing is, this is one of those episodes I think that bears repeating. If you have questions, reach out.
Yes.
If you guys want to talk about this, you're interested, but it's all kind of like, well, my situation's a little different, or I didn't quite get what you meant by that.
Yeah.
Reach out and call either Makayla or I. If you want to talk to a lender, you don't have anyone, a mortgage broker that you have as a trusted professional, we are more than happy to give you the name of one or two that we work with all the time and trust implicitly and are great at what they do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something we're happy to do. But let's actually talk about what's available right now.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people are like, okay, yeah, I get that. We can afford to do this. We can buy something $25,000 or less, but there's nothing available, Joe. Makayla, there's just nothing where I live that's available. And so why don't you tell them what the facts are?
This was fun to look into. So I did the greater Portland metro area. I also included Columbia County and Yamhill County. So that's a little bit further out, but I wanted to give a big circle. Properties that are only active, of course, 500,000 or less. And then we also only did detached properties. So this does not include condos and townhomes. And then I did terms FHA. So a property that would accept an FHA loan, which is what we're talking about. And we get 451 hits from that.
451 homes.
It's amazing.
Now, obviously, some areas are going to have a larger portion of those than others, but that is incredible.
It is. And they really are all over the map. There's a lot in North Portland and the east side of Portland in general. It takes a long time for my listings to load, but I'll talk about the areas where there's a lot of them.
Canby, Oregon City, Damascus, Happy Valley, Cornelius, Forest Grove, Carlton. Love Carlton. If you don't know where Carlton is, you should definitely take a look. It's out in wine country for one, but it is the cutest little town, and I just love it so much.
This also, not to interrupt you, included McMinnville, Amity, which is a little further out, but there's a ton in Newburgh, which is closer in, Scappoose, St. Helens, Vernonia, North Plains.
And Portland.
Yeah. And then there's
Portland,
mainly
Beaverton,
Portland.
Hillsboro, North Plains,
Oregon City,
Tigard, Gresham. All those areas have properties that are available right now. The thing I wanted to know, though, Makayla, was, okay, we're talking about having a seller pay for your financing, basically.
Sure.
Pay for your closing cost and your buy down. And not all of those 451 homes. Like if someone's brand new on the market, the first day on the market, and they're getting a ton of showings, chances are they might be hesitant to get an offer that says, hey, we listed at 500,000 and you want us to take an offer at 485 net to us. We're going to hold on for a little bit. Right. And that's probably good advice from their broker.
Absolutely.
That's what we would say. So let's look at how many homes have been on the market for 30 days or more out of those 500 or 451. And that total is
318.
318 of those homes have been on the market for 30 days or more.
That is still amazing.
And, I would even say 21 days or more.
Yeah.
They've been on the market 3 weeks.
It's time to ask for some credit.
So at that point, they're going to be happy to sell, I think. So if I update it to 21 days, it's 371.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy. So 371 out of the 451 have a extremely high probability of accepting an offer with a credit attached. And maybe there's some negotiation there if it's listed at 500 and you go, okay, we want to get 15,000 of closing costs, buyer rate, pay down, paid for. Let's off, and they don't want to do that. The seller doesn't. Okay, maybe we go 505 with a net of 490 to them.
Chances are they're going to be willing to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a good strategy. There's a lot of homes available.
One thing I like to remind people of, too, when we're talking about first-time homes is this might not be your dream home. And while that might feel a little disappointing, that's okay. You know, I would suggest finding a home that you could put some equity into, even if it's just little things over time. And then we talk about the rule of 5 to 7 years. So after that amount of time, you're going to have enough equity in your home to sell that home and buy a new one.
5 to 7 is a safe assumption. 3 to 5 years sometimes is also
depending on the market. Yeah.
Depending on the market, depending on the home. That's a conversation with your real estate professional to say, how have homes appreciated in this area? How have similar homes appreciated? If you're buying the smallest home in an area of higher priced homes, you're going to appreciate faster than if that home was in a neighborhood where it was all the same as them.
Exactly.
Right? So there's some factors in there. So maybe even 3 to 5 years. And depending on what you do, if you have additional money and you go in and do some things to the home that really create value in the marketplace, it could be sooner than that as well. So you don't need $100,000 in the bank, do you, Makayla?
No,
is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you.
Wow. That's awesome.
We hope this was useful. Let us know if you have any questions, please.
Yeah, and you can visit our website, liveportland.com. That's livportland.com. And you can see the show notes here. We'll have some information. I do want to give a shout out to Vantage Mortgage Group. Their live mortgage
rate calculator
on their website is fantastic. It is wonderful. We're going to put that link on our website. I think we can do that, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So Todd Gettison at Vantage Mortgage Group is one of our premier lenders that we work with. He's fantastic, has been fantastic forever and ever. We'll get his permission to put that on the site. Highly recommend visiting and checking it out just for nothing else for that. But we'll have some other resources on there as well. So go to livportland.com, click on the podcast button, and enjoy.
There you go.
Makayla, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Joe.
Always. Yeah. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks for joining us today. If you're interested in finding out more about Joe, myself, or the Live Portland team, you can go to liveportland.com. Thanks for giving us a listen, and see you next time on the Off the Record podcast.